One call, one choice. Everything changed.
Have you ever called someone begging for help and heard the phone hang up in your face? On Halloween night 2023, I was kidnapped in the basement of a mansion in Vancouver with duct tape over my mouth and hands tied. Calling my husband with the last bit of battery I had, I heard it ring once, twice, 3 times. He answered. I heard his voice. Hello? And then I heard another voice, female, laughing. Jiho, come back to bed! And he hung up. He hung up on me while I was being held hostage by 2 armed men who'd invaded the most exclusive Halloween charity event in Vancouver. And in that moment, as I heard the disconnected call signal echo in the cold silence of that basement, I realized 3 things. First, my husband was with his mistress. Second, he chose her over me. Third, if I survived that night, Jiho Park would never see my face again. My name is Minji Park, or it was, because after that Halloween night, I stopped being the obedient wife of Vancouver's most successful Korean CEO and became something completely different, someone he never imagined I could be. But before getting there, I need to go back to 3 years before, to when I was just a 23-year-old Korean-Canadian girl working as assistant curator at the Vancouver Art Gallery, living in my tiny West End apartment, eating instant ramyeon for dinner, and dreaming of having my own gallery someday. That's when I met Jiho. He showed up at the opening of a contemporary Korean art exhibition I'd helped organize. Tall, handsome, Armani suit that probably cost more than 6 months of my rent, black hair perfectly styled, Patek Philippe watch, and that way rich men have of taking up space like the whole world belongs to them. He looked at me across the gallery and smiled. And I, idiot that I was, smiled back. Did you organize this? He asked, approaching, Korean accent slightly noticeable in his perfect English. I helped. I work here. It's impressive. You know Korean art. I'm Korean Canadian. 2nd generation. My parents emigrated from Seoul in 1995. Ah, so you understand. He paused, dark eyes studying me. Jiho Park, pleasure to meet you. Whirlwind romance, is that the right term? Because 6 months later, we were married. He courted me like a fairy tale prince. Dinners at omakase restaurants, weekends in Whistler, expensive gifts I said I didn't want but secretly loved. And he was attentive, asked about my day, listened when I talked about work, met my parents and impressed them by speaking perfect Korean and bringing traditional gifts. My father, who never approved of anyone, looked at me and said, he is good boy, good family. You should marry. And I, wanting to make my parents proud, wanting to prove I'd done right despite not being a doctor or lawyer like they wanted, said yes when Jiho proposed 3 months after we met. The wedding was at the Fairmont Hotel, Vancouver. 300 guests, Vera Wang dress, traditional Korean ceremony in the morning, and Western reception at night. My parents cried with happiness. Jiho's mother, a cold woman who never looked me in the eyes, smiled politely and said, "Welcome to the Park family," in Korean, but the tone made clear I wasn't welcome at all. And Jiho's father, retired CEO who'd passed the empire to him, greeted me with, "I hope you give good grandsons to my son." Not, "I hope you're happy," not, "welcome," just the expectation that my uterus would serve the Park dynasty. But I ignored the red flags, ignored that Jiho never asked what I wanted, ignored that he decided where we'd live, a penthouse in Cole Harbor, without consulting me, ignored that he expected me to quit my job to be proper wife and focus on starting family. ignored it because I was in love, or at least I thought I was. Now I realize I was in love with the idea of him, with financial security, with my parents' approval, with the status of being Mrs. Park, the CEO's wife, not with the real man behind the expensive suit. The first year of marriage was suffocating. Jiho worked 16-hour days running Park Tech, a software company worth billions, got home after midnight, barely talked to me, and when he did, it was to ask if I'd made an appointment with a fertility specialist. "We need air," he'd say, as if discussing company acquisition. "My parents are asking." I tried to get pregnant for a year, did all the tests, took all the vitamins, followed all the instructions. Nothing. And every month my period came, I saw disappointment on Jiho's face, saw how he looked at me with less interest, like I was a bad investment, defective product. That's when I started noticing the messages. He'd leave his phone on lock sometimes, messages from Jessica. Initially innocent, then progressively intimate. "I miss you. That night was amazing. When will we see each other again?" I confronted him in February 2023. "Who's Jessica?" He didn't even blink. "Executive assistant. Why? Why is she sending messages saying she misses you?" "Because she's efficient and misses working with me when I'm away. You're being paranoid, Minji." He made me feel crazy, made me doubt what I'd seen. And like an idiot, I believed him, wanted to believe. Because the alternative that my husband was cheating with his assistant while pressuring me to get pregnant was too much to process. But then came Halloween, the annual charity gala that Park Tech organized every year. Huge event at the Fairmont, masquerade theme, all of Vancouver's elite present. CEOs, politicians, local celebrities, and I, dressed in black Dior that Jiho had chosen, long hair in waves, perfect makeup, playing the role of perfect trophy wife, smiling at people who didn't know me, making small talk about nothing, feeling completely empty. Jiho barely looked at me all night. He was busy networking, making deals, being the charismatic CEO everyone loved. And I stood alone near the bar, drinking expensive champagne and wishing I was anywhere but there. That's when I saw her, Jessica, the executive assistant, blonde, beautiful, tight red dress. And she was looking at Jiho across the ballroom with an expression I recognized immediately, because it was how I used to look at him. Love, desire, possessiveness. And when she passed by me going to the bathroom, I heard her on the phone whispering, "Can't wait for after the party, your place." And something inside me broke. Finally broke. I followed her to the bathroom, waited for her to come out of the stall, and when we were alone, looking at each other in the mirror, I said, "How long?" She smiled. Smiled like it was a joke. "Since before he married you. But don't worry, he's going to leave you soon. Once he gets an heir, he won't need you anymore." And then she left, leaving me there, alone, facing my reflection, seeing for the first time who I really was. An incubator, a facade, a convenient lie. I left the bathroom in shock, walked through the crowded ballroom in a daze, needed air, needed space, needed to think. Went out the back entrance of the Fairmont where service staff came and went it. The alley was dark. Cold Vancouver October air hit my face. I stood there, breathing hard, trying not to cry, trying to process that my entire marriage was a sham, that I was nothing to Jiho, nothing but a womb that wasn't even working properly. And that's when I heard footsteps behind me, fast footsteps. Before I could turn around, something hit my head, hard. Everything went black. Woke up in darkness, complete darkness, head pounding, hands tied behind my back with rough rope, duct tape over my mouth, concrete floor beneath me, cold, so cold. I tried to move, hit something metal, heard water dripping somewhere. Basement. I was in a basement. Panic set in immediately. Where was I? Who took me? Why? Tried to scream, but the tape muffled everything. Tried to free my hands, but the rope was too tight. Just sat there in the dark, terrified. listening to my own muffled breathing, wondering if anyone had noticed I was gone from the gala. Then I heard voices. Male. 2 different men. Speaking in English but with accents I couldn't place. Boss said keep her here until tomorrow. Then we get paid and drop her off somewhere far. What if someone's looking for her? Rich Korean CEO's wife? Probably thinks she ran off with another man. These types always do. They laughed, and I realized with horror that this wasn't random. Someone had hired these men to kidnap me. Someone wanted me gone. But who? And why? Sat in that darkness for what felt like hours. Could have been 1 hour, could have been 5. No way to tell. No windows, no light. Just cold concrete and darkness and fear. And then I remembered. My phone. It had been in my clutch purse, small black Chanel bag. Did they take it? Felt around with my tied hands, found fabric. My dress. Felt further. There, the clutch. Still attached to my wrist by the delicate chain. Fumbled with numb fingers, got it open, felt inside. Phone. Still there. Battery at 8%. No signal. Fuck. Waited, listening for the voices to fade. They were upstairs somewhere, talking, watching TV maybe. Sound of a hockey game, typical Vancouver. Even kidnappers watch Canucks games. When the volume got louder, I carefully pulled the duct tape off my mouth with my shoulder. Hurt like hell. Tasted blood. But I could breathe properly now, could speak. Checked phone again, still no signal. But I had emergency call option. Called 911. Nothing. Call failed. Tried again. Failed. The basement was too deep, too isolated. Tried one more option. Called Jiho, hoping, praying that despite everything, my husband would answer his wife calling at midnight on Halloween, that he'd hear the terror in my voice, that he'd call police, that he'd save me. The phone rang. Once. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would explode. Twice. Please answer. Please. 3 times. And then his voice. Hello? Groggy. Annoyed. And I tried to speak. Tried to say, Jiho, I've been kidnapped. Call police. I'm in a basement somewhere. Please help me. But all that came out was a whisper because my throat was so dry and my voice was shaking so badly. Jiho, I managed. And then I heard it. That voice. Female. Laughing. Intimate. Jiho, come back to bed. Jessica. He was with Jessica. On Halloween night. While I was at his gala, while I was being held hostage, he was in bed with his mistress. And before I could say anything else, before I could beg for help, the call ended. He hung up on his kidnapped wife to go back to bed with his mistress. Sat there in the dark, holding the phone, battery at 3%. One more call, maybe. But who? My parents? They'd panic. Police? No signal. And then something strange happened. Instead of crying, instead of despairing, I got angry. So angry. Because I realized in that moment that Jiho wasn't going to save me. Wasn't going to even notice I was missing until someone else pointed it out. He didn't care. Had never cared. I was disposable, replaceable. And if I wanted to survive this, I'd have to save myself. Started working on the ropes, rubbing them against something sharp I'd found on the concrete wall. A nail, maybe? Took forever, hands bleeding, but the rope started fraying. And while I worked, I thought about who would want me kidnapped, who would benefit from me disappearing. The answer was obvious. Jessica. She wanted me gone, wanted to be Mrs. Park. And maybe she'd hired these men to take me, to scare me, to make me disappear so she could have Jiho. The realization made me work faster. Rope finally broke. Hands free, rubbed life back into them, looked at phone, 1% battery, no signal still, but I had light. Turned on flashlight, saw the basement, old, abandoned maybe. Stairs leading up, door at top probably locked. Looked for another way out. Window. Small, high up, but possible. Found boxes stacked in corner, climbed up, reached window, tried to open, stuck, tried harder. It gave, Cold Vancouver air rushed in. Freedom. Pulled myself up. Sharp glass cut my arms, didn't care. Squeezed through window, dropped onto wet grass outside. Stood up, looked around. Mansion. Huge, dark, trees everywhere. No idea where I was, but didn't matter. Started running. Barefoot, dress torn, arms bleeding. Ran through the trees, stumbled, fell, got up, kept running. Saw lights in the distance, road, ran toward it. Made it to the road, flagged down first car I saw. Elderly couple, Halloween decorations still on their dashboard, pumpkins, ghosts. They looked terrified seeing me, bloody, torn dress, wild eyes. "Please," I said, "I was kidnapped. I need police. I need help." They called 911. Police came, took me to Vancouver General Hospital, questioned me. I told them everything about being taken from the Fairmont, about the basement, about the two men, about calling my husband and him hanging up. The detective, an older white man named Detective Morrison, looked at me strangely when I mentioned that last part. "Your husband hung up on you?" "Yes, he was with someone else." "I see." He wrote something down. "We'll need to speak with your husband, and we'll investigate the kidnapping. Can you describe the men?" I tried, but I hadn't seen their faces, just heard voices. Detective Morrison said they'd do their best, but I could tell he didn't think they'd find them. Random kidnappers, hired guns, they were probably long gone. Hospital kept me overnight, treated my cuts, gave me something for the headache, and I lay in that hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything. About Jiho hanging up, about Jessica saying he'd leave me once he got an heir, about being kidnapped and no one noticing, about saving myself. And I made a decision. Right there, I was done. Done being Mrs. Park, done being invisible, done being disposable. When I got out of that hospital, I was going to take my life back, one way or another. Jiho finally showed up the next morning, looking concerned, playing worried husband. "Minji, are you okay? The police called me. Said you were kidnapped. I can't believe it. Are you hurt?" I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw nothing behind his eyes. No real concern, no love, just calculation. He was there because it was expected, because CEO's wife getting kidnapped would be bad publicity if he wasn't seen being supportive husband. "I called you," I said quietly, "last night, when I was being held hostage." He blinked. I didn't see any missed calls. "Because you answered, and then you hung up. You hung up on me while I was kidnapped because Jessica told you to come back to bed." His face went pale, then red, then carefully blank. "Minji, I don't know what you think you heard, but don't. Just don't. I know about Jessica. I know you've been sleeping with her. I know you only married me because your parents wanted grandchildren and you needed respectable wife for your image. I know all of it, and I'm done." The divorce proceedings started that week. Jiho tried to fight it at first, not because he loved me, but because divorce would look bad, would hurt his reputation, his perfect image as family man CEO. But I had leverage, had the police report about him hanging up on me during kidnapping, had evidence of his affair with Jessica that I'd been quietly collecting for months, had testimony from his assistant before Jessica, who he also had an affair with and then fired when she got pregnant. Jiho's lawyer, a slick man in expensive suit, tried to offer me money. "Mr. Park is willing to give you a generous settlement, $2 million, in exchange for you signing an NDA and not speaking publicly about the marriage or its end." I laughed, actually laughed. "Tell Mr. Park that I don't want his money. I want half of everything, because that's what I'm entitled to under Canadian law. And if he fights it, I'll make sure every newspaper in Vancouver knows exactly what kind of man he really is." The divorce took 6 months. Longest 6 months of my life. Lived with my parents in their small house in Burnaby. My mother fussed over me, and my father barely spoke to me. He was disappointed, ashamed. His daughter, the failed wife. The woman who couldn't even keep a good Korean husband. But I didn't care anymore. I was free. That's all that mattered. During those months, I went back to work at the gallery, threw myself into my job, started planning my own gallery, started saving money from the divorce settlement that was finally coming through, and started therapy. Because I needed to understand why I'd let myself become so small, so invisible, so willing to disappear. My therapist, Dr. Chen, a kind Chinese-Canadian woman in her 50s, asked me one day, "What do you want now, Minji? Not what your parents want, not what society expects. What do you want?" And I realized I didn't know, had never known, had spent my whole life trying to be what others wanted me to be. Dutiful daughter, perfect wife, and where had that gotten me? Kidnapped? Abandoned? Divorced at 26? So I started figuring it out. Started trying new things. Took art classes, went to concerts alone, traveled to Seattle for a weekend by myself. Started building a life that was mine. Just mine. And then I met Marcus, 6 months after the divorce was finalized, at an art exhibition opening in Gastown. I was there for work, scouting potential pieces for the gallery. He was there because he collected art. Tall, black, gorgeous, dreadlocks pulled back in a bun, tailored suit that somehow looked both professional and artistic. And when he smiled at me across the gallery, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Interest. Real interest. Not obligation, not duty, just pure human connection. "You look like you actually know what you're looking at," he said, approaching. American accent. "Southern, maybe?" "I work in art. It's my job to know." Lucky me then, because I buy art, but I'm never sure if it's any good or if I'm just being pretentious. I laughed. Actually laughed. "What do you do that you can afford to be pretentiously buying art?" "I run a tech company, Tech Vision. We do AI integration for businesses." "Oh, so you're rich." He grinned. "Comfortably wealthy. There's a difference." "Is there?" "Rich people stress about staying rich. Wealthy people just enjoy it." I liked him immediately. We talked for 3 hours that night. About art, about technology, about Vancouver versus Atlanta, where he'd grown up, about being outsiders in predominantly white tech world, him as a black man, me as a Korean woman, about the pressure, the expectations, the constant need to prove yourself. People look at me and see thug or athlete, never see businessman, never see collector, never see me, he said. People look at me and see submissive Asian wife, never see artist, never see independent woman, never see me. We should start a club, the Invisible People Club. I think we just did. He asked for my number. I gave it to him. And for the first time since the divorce, I felt excited about something, about someone. We started dating slowly. Coffee dates, gallery visits, long walks around Stanley Park. And Marcus was everything Jiho wasn't. He asked questions, listened to answers, wanted to know what I thought, what I felt, what I wanted. He never made me feel small, never made me feel like I had to be anything other than myself. And he told me things too, about his childhood in Atlanta, about his father who'd been a mechanic and taught him to build things, about his mother who'd cleaned houses to put him through Georgia Tech, about building Tech Vision from nothing and taking it public last year, about being 34 and wondering if he'd ever find someone who saw him more than his bank account. "My ex-wife," he said one night, over dinner at a small French restaurant in Kitsilano, "married me for the money, didn't even hide it, and when I asked her to sign a prenup, she sued me for emotional distress. Did she win? Hell no, but it cost me $5 million to settle. Lesson learned. Never trust someone who's more interested in your portfolio than your personality." "I was married too," I told him, "to a CEO, Korean. He married me because his parents wanted grandchildren and I looked good on photos." "What happened?" "He cheated with his assistant, and when I was kidnapped, he hung up on me to go back to bed with her." Marcus put down his fork. "I'm sorry, you were what?" "Kidnapped. Last Halloween, at a charity gala.
Someone took me and held me in a basement, and I called my husband for help, and he hung up on me. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's when I realized I was worth more than someone who'd leave me to die. You're worth everything, Minji. I hope you know that now.
I did know, was starting to know. And over the next 6 months, Marcus and I built something real. Something that wasn't based on obligation or expectation or image. Just two people who'd been hurt and found each other and decided to try again. He met my parents. My mother loved him immediately. My father was suspicious at first. "He's not Korean," he said in Korean when Marcus couldn't hear. "No, he's not," I responded. "He's kind and honest, and he treats me like I matter. Isn't that more important?" My father didn't answer, but weeks later I caught him and Marcus talking about baseball, laughing, and I knew it would be okay. Marcus proposed to me on a rainy Saturday in May. We were in his condo in Yaletown, cooking dinner together, or trying to. I'm terrible at cooking, he's worse. We'd ordered pizza as backup, and while we waited, he said, "I have something to ask you." If it's about the burned kimchi jjigae, I already apologized. He laughed. "No, it's about us." He got down on one knee, right there in his kitchen. "Minji, I know we've only been together less than a year. And I know you've been hurt before. And I know you're probably not ready. But I also know that I love you. Really love you. Not what you can give me, not what you represent, just you. The woman who talks too much about art history, who can't cook to save her life, who's stronger than she thinks, who survived something terrible and came out better. I want to spend my life with you. Will you marry me?" I said yes, no hesitation, because Marcus was right. I was ready to be with someone who saw me, who valued me, who loved me. And the ring was beautiful. Sapphire, my birthstone, not diamond. I know diamonds are traditional, but you're not traditional, and I wanted something that was just for you. Perfect. He was perfect, and I was happy, actually truly happy for the first time in years. We decided to do engagement party in September. Small, just close friends and family, at a private room at Hawksworth Restaurant, Vancouver's best. Marcus rented the whole space, and I invited everyone who mattered. My parents, my few close friends from the Dallery, his business partners who'd flown up from Seattle, his mother who came from Atlanta and spent the entire night crying happy tears and telling anyone who'd listen that her baby had found a good woman. And then I did something that, looking back, was either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. I invited Jiho. Not because I wanted him there, but because I wanted him to see that I'd moved on, that I'd found someone better, that I wasn't the broken woman he discarded. Marcus thought I was insane. Why would you invite your ex-husband to our engagement party? Because I want to show him he didn't break me. I want him to see what he lost. Is that petty? It's extremely petty, but I kind of love it. Invite him. So I did. Sent formal invitation to Park Tech offices. Expected him to ignore it, to throw it away, to pretend I didn't exist. But he RSVP'd yes, and that's when I should have known something was wrong. The engagement party was perfect. Dim lighting, jazz playing, expensive wine flowing. My mother wore her best hanbok. Marcus's mother wore this stunning purple dress and told everyone we were giving her grandbaby soon. Marcus looked incredible in a navy suit, and I wore an ivory silk dress that made me feel like a bride already. We stood there together, greeting guests, and I felt Marcus's hand on my lower back, steady and reassuring. And I thought, this is what it's supposed to feel like. This is what love actually is. And then Jiho arrived. With Jessica. He brought Jessica to my engagement party. She wore red again, like at the Halloween Gala 2 years ago, and they stood there in the entrance, her hand possessively on his arm, and smiled at us like this was totally normal, like he hadn't ruined my life, like she hadn't told me I was disposable, like I was supposed to just accept them being there together. Marcus felt me tense beside him. "You okay?" "No, but I will be. Let's greet them." We walked over, and I saw it immediately, the surprise on Jiho's face. He hadn't expected Marcus, hadn't expected me to be engaged to someone so obviously successful, so obviously attractive, so obviously better than him in every way. "Jiho," I said coolly. "Jessica, thank you for coming." "Wouldn't miss it," Jiho said, but his voice was tight. "This is my fiancé, Marcus Johnson. Marcus, this is Jiho Park, my ex-husband, and Jessica Kim, his..." I paused. "What are you exactly, Jessica? Girlfriend? Mistress? Side piece?" Her face went red. Marcus coughed to cover a laugh. "Nice to meet you both," Marcus said smoothly, extending his hand. "Minji's told me a lot about you." "I'm sure she has," Jiho said, not taking the hand. Just stared at Marcus, then at me, then back at Marcus. "You're CEO of Tech Vision." "I am." "We're competitors." "We are." "Interesting. Is it?" Marcus smiled, that easy confident smile. "I don't really see it as competition. Tech Vision's in a different league." Oh, shots fired, and I loved him even more for it. The rest of the party was tense. Jiho stayed, drank too much, watched Marcus and me with eyes that burned. And when it was time for toasts, Marcus stood up and gave this beautiful speech about finding love when you least expect it, about how the universe sometimes breaks you down just to build you back up stronger, about how grateful he was that I'd given him a chance. To Minji, the strongest woman I know, thank you for saying yes. Everyone cheered. I cried, happy tears this time, and when I looked across the room, I saw Jiho's face. And it wasn't anger. It was something worse. Regret. After the party, Jiho tried to talk to me, cornered me outside the restaurant while Marcus was getting the car. "Minji, wait. What do you want, Jiho?" I wanted to say, "I made a mistake." I laughed. Actually laughed. A mistake? Which one? Cheating on me? Hanging up when I was kidnapped? Or bringing your mistress to my engagement party? All of it. I was stupid. I didn't appreciate what I had. You thought I'd always be there, that I'd always be the obedient little wife who put up with anything. Well, I'm not. I'm done being who you wanted me to be. He's not right for you. Marcus? I stared at him. Marcus is perfect for me. He sees me, values me, loves me, everything you never did. I loved you. No, you didn't. You loved the idea of me. The pretty Korean wife who looked good at events and would give you sons. You never loved me. The car pulled up, Marcus inside looking concerned. "I have to go." "Minji, please, don't marry him. Give us another chance." "Jiho," I looked him straight in the eyes. "I wouldn't take you back if you were the last man on earth. You had your chance. You threw it away. And honestly, best thing that ever happened to me. Because it led me to someone who's actually worthy of my time." And I walked away. Got in the car with Marcus, drove off, and didn't look back. Halloween came again. October 2024, 1 year since Jiho had hung up on me, 2 years since I'd been kidnapped, and Marcus wanted to do something special. "Let's reclaim Halloween for you," he said. "Make it about us instead of about bad memories." So we threw our own party. Small, at his place, just friends. Carved pumpkins, horror movies, good wine. And for the first time in 2 years, I enjoyed Halloween. Actually enjoyed it. No anxiety, no fear, just fun. And at midnight, when everyone had left and we were cleaning up, Marcus pulled me close and said, "You know what I love most about you?" "What?" "You didn't let what happened make you bitter. You didn't let him break you. You're still soft, still kind, still you. That takes real strength." I kissed him. "I love you. I love you too. And I can't wait to marry you next month." We'd set the date for November. Small ceremony, just family.
At a vineyard in Okanagan. Perfect. Simple, everything I wanted. But 2 days before the wedding, everything exploded. I got a call from Detective Morrison, the detective who'd investigated my kidnapping. Ms. Lee, he still called me by my maiden name. I need you to come down to the station. We've made an arrest in your kidnapping case. What? After 2 years? New evidence came to light. Can you come in? I went immediately, sat in his office, and he showed me photos. The 2 men who'd kidnapped me, arrested in Toronto for another crime, and when interrogated, they'd confessed. Confessed to kidnapping me, confessed to being hired, and confessed who hired them. My blood went cold. Jiho Park? I whispered. Your ex-husband, yes. He hired them to take you that night. The plan was to hold you for a few days, scare you, make you think someone was after you, so you'd come back to him for protection. Classic abuse tactic. But you escaped before he could execute the rescue. I couldn't breathe. Jiho had orchestrated my kidnapping, had hired men to terrify me, to traumatize me, so I'd be dependent on him, so I'd stay. There's more, Detective Morrison said. The hanging up when you called him, that was part of the plan too. He knew you'd been taken. The kidnappers were supposed to let you make one call. He ignored it intentionally to drive home how helpless you were, how much you needed him. Rage. Pure rage flooded through me. He's being charged with conspiracy to commit kidnapping, unlawful confinement, criminal harassment, several other charges. He'll go to prison, Ms. Lee, for a long time. I should have felt relief, justice, but I just felt sick because I'd loved him once, and he'd been willing to traumatize me, to put me in danger, just to control me. Does he know I know? I asked. Not yet. We're arresting him tomorrow. I wanted to tell you first, give you a heads up before it hits the news. Thank you. I left the station in a daze, told Marcus everything. He looked like he wanted to murder Jiho himself. That sick bastard. He could have gotten you killed. Those guys could have decided to take things further, could have hurt you, all because he wanted to control you? Yeah. You need protection. Until he's locked up, you need... I'll be fine. He doesn't know I know yet, and we're getting married in 2 days and leaving for honeymoon immediately after. By the time we get back, he'll be in jail. Are you sure? I'm sure. I'm not letting him ruin this too. He's already taken enough from me.
The wedding was beautiful. Small ceremony at the vineyard, 50 guests, fall colors everywhere. My mother cried. My father walked me down the aisle and whispered in Korean, "I'm proud of you, daughter. You chose well this time." And when I saw Marcus standing there, looking at me like I was everything, I knew I'd made the right choice, knew I was exactly where I was supposed to be. We said our vows, promised forever, kissed, and became husband and wife, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. And afterward, at the reception, my friend from the gallery pulled me aside. "Did you hear?" Hear what? Jiho Park was arrested this morning. For your kidnapping. It's all over the news. They're saying he orchestrated the whole thing. I smiled. I know. Detective Morrison told me 2 days ago. And you still got married? You didn't want to postpone? Why would I? Jiho doesn't get to control my life anymore, not even from a jail cell. This is my day, mine and Marcus's, and I'm not giving him one more second of my time. She hugged me. You're incredible. No, I'm just done being a victim. Honeymoon in Bali was perfect. 2 weeks of peace, no phones, no news, just us. And when we got back to Vancouver in late November, the whole city was talking about it. Jiho Park, the Golden Boy CEO, arrested for kidnapping his ex-wife. Jessica had left him immediately. Tech-Tech's stock had tanked, his parents had disowned him, and he was facing 15 years in prison. The trial was set for next spring. My lawyer said I'd have to testify, and I agreed, because I wanted to face him, wanted to tell my story, wanted him to see what he'd lost and could never have again. But that was months away.
For now, I had a husband who loved me, a life that was mine, and a future that was bright. Marcus and I bought a house together, in Point Grey, overlooking the water. And one night, while we sat on our deck watching the sunset, he said, "You know what's crazy?" "What?" 2 years ago, you were kidnapped at a Halloween gala by your own husband, and now you're here, married to me, happy, safe. How does it feel?" Like justice, like karma, like the universe finally got it right. The universe, huh? Yeah, sometimes bad things happen to teach us what we actually deserve. I thought I deserved someone like Jiho, someone cold and controlling and impressive on paper, but I didn't. I deserve someone like you, someone kind and real and who actually loves me. I do love you. So much. I love you too. And I'm grateful. Grateful Jiho showed me who he really was. Grateful I got kidnapped and had to save myself. Grateful for all of it. Because it led me here. That's the most mature perspective on trauma I've ever heard. I laughed. It's either that or be bitter forever, and life's too short for that. 2 months later, I opened my own gallery, Lee Gallery, in Gastown. Small space, carefully curated pieces, focus on contemporary Korean and Asian artists. And on opening night, every person who mattered to me was there. My parents, Marcus, friends from work, art collectors, media. And as I stood there looking at my name on the wall, at the art I'd chosen, at the life I'd built, I felt something I'd never felt before. Pride. Real pride. Not in someone else's success, not in meeting someone else's expectations, but in myself, in what I'd survived, what I'd built, who I'd become. And later, when everyone had left and it was just Marcus and me, standing in the empty gallery, he said, "I'm so proud of you." Yeah? Yeah. You took everything that tried to destroy you and turned it into something beautiful. That's real strength. I learned from the best. Who? You. You taught me that I'm worth more than someone else's opinion of me, that I deserve to be seen, valued, loved. You deserve everything, Minji. Never forget that.
Spring came, trial started. I testified, told my story, looked Jiho in the eyes, and said everything I'd wanted to say for 2 years. About the manipulation, the control, the betrayal, the kidnapping he'd orchestrated, about hanging up on me while I begged for help, about choosing his mistress over my life. And when I was done and the prosecutor asked, "Do you have anything else you'd like to say to the defendant?" I looked at Jiho, really looked at him, saw the man who'd spent years making me feel small, making me feel like I was nothing without him. And I said, "Thank you." The courtroom went silent. Thank you for showing me what I don't want. Thank you for treating me so badly that I had no choice but to leave. Thank you for orchestrating my kidnapping because it forced me to save myself, to realize I was stronger than I ever knew. Thank you for everything, because if you hadn't done all of that, I never would have found the man I was meant to be with. I never would have become who I was meant to be. So thank you, Jiho Park, for being exactly what I needed you to be, a villain. And I walked out of that courtroom with my head held high. Marcus was waiting outside. How do you feel? Free. Finally free. Jiho was convicted on all charges, sentenced to 12 years, would serve minimum 8. And when I heard the verdict, I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, just indifference. Because he didn't matter anymore. Wasn't even a footnote in my story. Just a chapter I'd closed. And now I had new chapters to write. Better chapters.
ones filled with love and art and happiness and choice. Marcus and I started talking about kids, about expanding the gallery, about maybe splitting time between Vancouver and Atlanta, about future, real future, not obligation or duty or expectation, just possibility. And one day, while we walked through Stanley Park in summer sun, I said, "You know what today is?" "What?" "July 15th. Exactly 2 years since our first date." "Has it really been 2 years?" 2 years since I met you. 3 years since I divorced Jiho. 4 years since I was kidnapped. And right now, at this moment, I am happier than I have ever been in my entire life. He stopped walking, looked at me. "Say that again?" "I'm happy. Truly, completely happy. I love you. I love you too." And we kissed right there in the park. Tourists taking photos of English Bay, dogs running past, Vancouver summer day. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. If you're watching this and you're in a relationship where you feel invisible, where you feel disposable, where you feel like you don't matter, please listen to me. Leave. It doesn't get better. It doesn't change, and you deserve more. You deserve to be seen, to be valued, to be loved for who you actually are, not who someone wants you to be. I know it's scary. I know you think you can't survive alone, but you can. You're stronger than you know. And on the other side of that fear is a life you can't even imagine yet, a life that's yours, where you matter, where you're safe, where you're happy. Take it from someone who knows. Take it from someone who was kidnapped by her own husband and hung up on when she called for help. Take it from someone who thought she was nothing and discovered she was everything. You deserve better, and better is out there waiting for you. You just have to be brave enough to reach